Well, happy Memorial Day weekend. I don't know about you, but my past Memorial Day weekends, growing up at least, were often spent camping with my family, with our friends. We would get a boat and campsites and be water skiing by this time of day, and it was just a wonderful childhood experience. And I know that we can't always express that in the way that we want to, and certainly this weekend, with depending on where you are in the world, you may be experiencing a different state of shelter in place or a different state of being able to get out and about. So whatever your plans are for today, just please be sure that you are safe, that you are well, and that know that we are holding you in our hearts. Now, Memorial Day weekend often celebrates something that's coming up in the next week or two, and that's graduation. Excuse me. So, graduation, I don't know if there's ever been a more odd, different, um, strange, I don't know how to call it, but this class of 2020, I want to honor all of the graduates, whoever is graduating from this particular time, because it's a little different if you haven't noticed. And it's wonderful walking around our neighborhood and seeing all the signs that are in people's houses celebrating their son or daughter's graduation from wherever they're graduating from. And we have a few people who are graduating in our community that I would like to honor as well. First off, I want to honor Brianna Lyon, who is graduating from San Jose State. She's graduating with an economics degree. So Brianna, we want to thank you for taking on economics, because Lord knows the world is going to need people like you to help us move through as we navigate these new courses. So congratulations on graduating from San Jose State. Also, Ian Whitfield, congratulations for graduating from Los Altos Hills High School. It's a wonderful achievement, and we are so grateful for you. I know there are probably more of our friends and family who are graduating this in the next week or two, and so if we'd like to celebrate them too. If you send me an email, I'll be happy to give them a shout out next week. Like my son's graduating from JLS Middle School, going into high school next year. My daughter's graduating from Palo Verde Elementary School, going to JLS next year. So we're having this sense of transition, this sense of change as we move from one step of life to another. And regardless of where you're at or what ceremonies that we have, know that we are grateful for you. We are proud of you, and that we bless you. We are in the middle of our 4-week series on the Beatitudes. And this is a wonderful opportunity to really step into those Beatitudes and apply them in our lives during these weird situations, during these weird times. Now, the Beatitudes are more than just a simple set of sayings. They are really the overarching meaning of Jesus's teachings. They give us a very spiritual meaning when we look at it from a deeper level, not just a literal interpretation, but take a little bit deeper so that we can understand the spiritual meaning. We can understand how it applies to ourselves in mind and consciousness, how it applies to our lives as we live life, as we go out through the experience of this world. And so what we have been doing, we've been using these spiritual teachings as spiritual inquiry, as an opportunity to take these ideas, expand on them, and see how they unfold within us so that we can express and live into our beingness, which is our theme for the month. That is stepping into a greater awareness and expression of my divine potential. And so as each of us lean into that idea of stepping into our spiritual potential and living a little bit more from that spiritual potential, when we even raise our consciousness just a hair, we make a giant leap in terms of how we live our lives. We make a giant leap in terms of how we express and experience each other. And we make a giant leap in helping the collective consciousness, our group consciousness, our oneness consciousness to rise as well. So I'm going to just do a quick review for you, a recap of the last 3 weeks. We began with our first Beatitude, and throughout this process, I've been inviting you to, as someone had put it, take the Beatitudes challenge. That is, take these lessons, take what we're talking about, take them into your time of discernment and see how they show up for you, and then send me your version of the Beatitudes. So here we go. Beatitude number 1, and this comes from Francis Mancreek. I am blessed by being humble and serene in service of spirit, as I flow and glow as an expression of divine light. That's our first Beatitude. The second Beatitude, this one comes from Jane Hemian. I allow myself to be comforted. In fact, I seek comfort from my fellow man. This is a good thing because I also learn how to give comfort. Our third Beatitude, our third way of being in life, comes from Joy Carden. I am blessed as I feel the warmth and gentleness of my pure heart expand, creating thoughts of loving kindness and expressing words of encouragement towards myself and towards others. Our fourth Beatitude comes from Deborah's mother in Florida. If I put my mind to it, with God's help, I'll do it. Our fifth Beatitude comes from me. I am blessed when I bless. And our sixth Beatitude that we had last week, I am blessed when I touch the pureness of spirit within me, for I see God in everything. And that brings us to our last two Beatitudes that we'll be covering in this series. And the first one is, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Now, to get a better understanding of what that means, we want to take a look at a few words here and look at how we might look at them a little bit differently. The first one is the idea of peacemakers. Now, peacemakers are not just those who make or perform actions, but those who are committed to expressing and experiencing that idea of peace. Those who are committed to bringing a sense of peace, a sense of harmony, a sense of calm into a situation. I love this book. This is by Neil Douglas Klotz. It's called Prayers for the Cosmos. And in this book, Mr. Douglas Klotz, he goes back to the original Aramaic, at least as best that we can understand them to be, and reinterprets from the original Aramaic the things like the Beatitudes. And here's what he has to say about peacemakers. Because peace is a word that is used throughout the Middle East for thousands of years as a greeting, but it also means health, safety, mutual agreement that saves a difficult situation, any happy assembly, or a stroke that unites all parties in sympathy, a stroke that unites us all as one. So peacemaking is not just being, a peaceful presence, but also creating a sense of peace within a relationship, creating a sense of peace within a circumstance, within an experience that we're having here in the real world, creating an experience of peace that comes from within, that comes from that centeredness in that divine potential within us, that comes from our beingness. And so when we are peacemakers, we are blessed. And so we also look at, and it's also somebody who's really committed to expressing and manifesting these, both in the inner and in the outer. Somebody who's committed to it, is really devoted to it, something that makes it a part of their life. The next aspect of this that we want to look at is the idea of children. And this idea of children refers to any embodiment, emanation, or active production from that which was potentially there, from that which was already there before. So it's that active participation of bringing forth that which was already within us. The children of God is that person who is able to express from that higher consciousness within us, that spark of divinity, that glow that emanates from us. It's that ability to simply express that divine nature, to be our beingness. And when we set our minds to doing that, when we set our minds to bringing that inner peace, that sense of well-being, and we do it with devotion, we do it with dedication, when we bring that into the world, then we truly are living from that expression of our divine nature. Now, the rest of the other four, or let's see, where are we at? This is number 7. So the other 6 Beatitudes were really about our inner dialogue, our inner knowingness, of that divine presence that is within every person and everyone, our inner knowingness of our ability to express that and to be creative in that. And these are the first two that really talk about how we look at it from the outer experience, how we share this into the world, and coming from that space of oneness within us, how we bring that into the world. And that's what this particular beatitude is talking about. Neil Douglas Coates continues by saying, the roots of the word translated shall be called also presents a beautiful image of digging a channel or a well that allows water to flow. And so in this sense, as we plant peace, we become channels or fountains for hastening the fulfillment of the divine will. When we plant peace, when we commit to expressing that inner peace, that inner wisdom, then we become channels and fountains for hastening the fulfillment of divine will. What a beautiful saying. And so the affirmation that really spoke to me, the rest of them have been, I am blessed when I do this. But here I'm really tapping into or connecting with this idea of being that flow, of being that wellspring of peace and wisdom and love. And so my beatitude for this one, when I took it into my discernment, I am a blessing when I allow the divine flow of life, love, and wisdom to express as me. I am a blessing when I allow the divine flow of life, love, and wisdom to express as me. That brings us to the eighth beatitude. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, this one is fully loaded if we look at it from a literal perspective. So let's take a step back and let's look at it again from a spiritual perspective. As we heard from the fourth beatitude, we remember that blessingness, that righteousness, that idea of right thinking, of seeking to align our thoughts, our words, and our actions with that one presence and power. Align our thoughts, our words, and our actions with that higher consciousness within us. Align our thoughts and words and actions with God. And when we come from that space, that's what the idea of righteousness really talks about. And so when we have that gentle yearning within us, that gentle yearning for an experience of divine light, love, and wisdom, the power of the universe and the potential of the universe is expressing. When we come from that place of wanting to live from that, that's when we are expressing that idea of righteousness. Now, persecuted is now the other hot word that we need to talk about. Persecuted can also mean being driven. And if we look at it more from a spiritual perspective, instead of an outer perspective, let's look at it from within. Because whenever I am trying to express or experience just a little bit more of my inner potential, I'm not going for, everything, because all I know is here's my next possibility. Here's my next highest good that I have an awareness of. And so I'm living into that. And whenever I'm living into that and changing my thoughts, whenever I'm growing spiritually, whenever I'm becoming a greater expression of this divine presence within us, whenever I grow, something has to fall away. Something has to, it's like a vessel. And the vessel can only hold so much. And so to hold more, it's got to crack so that it can expand. Now, when we go on this trip of spiritual transformation, of spiritual growth, when we go on this idea of trying to, express a little bit more of our spiritual nature or our beingness, that's when the old behaviors, the old beliefs, the old thought patterns, those tapes that are running within us, fight back. So you know that if you're having this inner struggle, if it feels like your vessel, your spiritual vessel is beginning to crack, know that that's a good thing. Because the result can be, if we move through it gracefully, as we move through it with purpose, The result can be, instead of trying to glue that vessel back together, simply allow it to expand, allow it to fall away, so that a bigger, more expansive understanding of spiritual principle can come into being within us. So a more vibrant expression of that life, love, and wisdom can come from us, can be expressed from us. So when we are persecuted internally by our spiritual growth, that lets us know that we are on the right track, and we have to keep going by affirming the truth, by denying the power that those old beliefs have over us, by letting them go, by letting those old beliefs and thought patterns and those fears and frustrations, those senses of not good enough, those senses of being, a worm of the earth. Let that old paradigm drop away. Let that old paradigm drop away so that you can express and experience a new paradigm in life, so that you can express more of your innate beingness, the next highest possibility for you. The experience of spiritual transformation is the inner struggle and the outer struggle. Because when we start to realize that we have some of this strength within us, when we start to express some of this strength, sometimes the old structures of our relationships start to feel the strain, because people are so used to our old patterns. And all of a sudden, here comes a brand new shiny John. And if we go back to some of our previous Beatitudes and remember that we're supposed to be humble, we're both humble and powerful at the same time. And we're humble when ego takes a back seat to knowing our spiritual divinity, to knowing our power, and allowing our Christ power to shine through, or that divine potential, whatever you want to call it. And so when we come at it from a more pure standpoint, then that there is that possibility that the world around us may look at us a little bit differently. So as you go through this week, as you take the Beatitude Challenge, and as you start to apply some of these things in your life, and to take them into your Zoom conference calls, into your crucial conversations with loved ones, into your spiritual practice, as you take them into that, just be open. Be open to what life might be like. My dear mentor, Martha Creek, puts it like this: what would life be like if you were to observe and not absorb? If you were to observe what's happening around you and how people are reacting to you and how they might be feeling and expressing towards you, and observe it but not absorb it. What would life be like if we gently drew out our shadow thoughts of not good enough, of not smart enough, our shadow thoughts of there's something lacking, that there's not enough. If we gently drew those out into this light that shines from within us, and we integrated those feelings instead of isolated them, what would life be like? What would life be like to be at rest when no one praises you? To be authentic, to be our authentic self when and no longer need to defend your existence? Or to step into a greater awareness and expression of your divine potential? What would life be like if you experience this just a little bit more this week? Peaceful transformation. For me, that's what these two Beatitudes comes down to. It's setting first the stage of establishing peace within myself, to the extent that I can express that peace out into the world, to express that light, love, and wisdom out into the world. And in doing so, I am transformed. And when I transform, I know that when I feel a little discomfort, when the old possibilities are dropping away and new possibilities begin to form, that's what I call peaceful transformation. It's the sowing of seeds of peace within. I open my heart and mind to living from the presence, to living from that joyful, loving presence. I persevere in my inner transformation and create a greater awareness and expression of my oneness with the divine flow of life, love, and wisdom. I'd like to end my talk today with May 23rd, 2020 morning poem by Joyce Riley. Show me what I have become, that I may bless or release it. Show me the best that I can be, that I may give thanks and increase it. Let us take that into our time of meditation. I invite you to take a moment and relax and take a nice deep cleansing breath. Feel your feet grounded into the earth. Wiggle your toes. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel yourself grounded in this present moment. Allow your hands to be open, to be free of anything. Wiggle your fingers to allow your arms and hands to relax, and simply breathe into this present moment. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, to simply soften your gaze. And with each breath, we allow ourselves to experience more of that inner peace. With each breath, we let go and release of all of our worries and concerns, all of our frustrations. We quiet that monkey mind. We allow our ego to simply focus on our breath. As we breathe into this present moment, we allow our thoughts to quiet. We allow our emotions to settle. We allow our heart to be uplifted and filled with inner peace, with the divine flow of life, with joy. As we rest in the stillness, in the silence. Turn it down a little bit. From this place of inner peace, we affirm, I am a blessing when I allow the divine flow of life, love, and wisdom to express as me. From this place of inner peace, we affirm, I open my heart and mind to the living from the presence within me. I persevere in my inner transformation. I create a greater awareness and expression of my oneness with the divine flow of life. From this inner peace within me, I am open. Show me what I have become, that I may bless or release it. And show me the best that I can be, that I may give thanks and increase it. And with a nice, deep, cleansing breath, we give thanks for this truth, for this realization of our beingness, for our willingness to step forward just a little bit to experience this divine flow of life, to let that divine flow of life glow within us. And for that truth, we are joyfully grateful. We are richly blessed, and we say, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen.